It's hard for me to write, so
Hello. Is that on already?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me know when you're ready.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. This is for the purpose of the public hearing for proposed property tax levy. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to open the public hearing for the proposed property tax levy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. So the hearing is now open. If anybody would like to take turns speaking, you would welcome that. And if you do want to speak, make sure you say your name so we know who's talking.
Jeff Anderson. I would just like this explained to me. This is about the most difficult thing to understand, and I don't know why it wasn't simplified.
So this letter came from the legislators, and they did not ask any county auditors what they would like to see on this letter. That's the problem with the letter. So the current tax rate is what the current tax rate is in fiscal year 24. The effective rate is what it will be in fiscal year 25. And that's basically the only thing that truly makes sense on this letter.
If you're asking for a levy, 25 is not set yet, is it?
But not technically. It's
what you're
it's
asking.
proposed.
What you're
Yep.
asking.
So that's for, the school is on the top, the county's in the middle, and of course you're in the country, so you don't have a city, that would be on the bottom if you had a city. There's nothing on the back of this letter that would make any sense to anyone. I apologize for that, like I said, that's, the legislators put this together.
If you read it, you think your taxes are dropping 20%.
And they're not
And you're
gonna.
increasing on the front side.
Yeah, they're not gonna decrease the, what they're,
Who paid to have this done? Did we?
the county had to pay for it, but the legislators required by law that we send this out. So,
So if you know anything about the Code of Iowa, there's a section of code in there that says they shall not imply any unfunded mandates, but yet they still do it. So this is gonna cost us what,
probably
$6,000,
$6,700.
to send this out, and it's funded by us.
You can tell it's by the state, because on the back it talks about full county.
Yep, yeah.
So Darren Teal, my questions are, I mean, it's kind of deceptive because it makes it look like we're lowering the tax levy amount rate, which is good, right, to a taxpayer. But my taxes went up or my assessed value of my home went up 51% this last year. And actually it was a lot more until I complained and they came out and looked at my house to lower it. But, which I still think is too high, but that's okay. The bottom line is they're lowering the levy a small percent, but my value is going up 50-some percent. So And we don't know what our taxes are gonna be until we approve all this, unfortunately. So my main concern is I wanna know how much my taxes are gonna go up. Are they gonna go up? They aren't gonna go up 50%. I talked to Henry Stone. The legislators, I believe, have passed something about 7.5%. Is that correct? Limit, which makes it tough on your budget because your budget will go up more than 7.5%. If taxes only go up 7.5%, how are you gonna pay for that? But I guess I just want to make sure I understand this correctly because they're lowering the levy rate, but not in comparison to the amount that the
The
assessed.
problem is that we're lowering the general basic and the general supplemental, or we're lowering the general basic and the rural basic. So there's other taxes in there that are staying the same or maybe even going up. So it's not technically even that we'll be lowering all the taxes. Because
The levy rate per thousand is going down.
not technically, because we have rural supplemental, general supplemental that might be going up some too. So the letter is completely, like I said, the legislature told us what they wanted on the letter, but the letter is deceiving because it's not the whole picture. If they wanted us to send a letter, they should have sent a letter that explained everything, not just the pieces that they wanted you to see.
So you guys have already, as supervisors, you have to approve, there's nothing you can do about these rates. This has to be what it is, or do you decide what the rates are?
They also put some things in there where to utilize the general supplemental, you have to levy to the max of the max allowable programmed number. And that max number was 5.08913. If we drop it below that, then we lose all of the general supplemental that funds our insurance and things like that. So they really did some odd things in this bill that really, it kind of, hand ties you to do this, this, and this.
Isn't there kind of three things moving at the same time? Our assessed rate, roll back on the assessed rate, and then the tax rate on the rollback
Right.
amount?
Plus there was more of the senior tax credits, and which is off of our rolls and not the state. They mandated it, but we.
So like Holden Lane, for instance, I moved there a couple years ago. Brought Mike and Marla's ski balls old place. And up there, I've got the Olsons, Sean and Carrie, Bruce Milkey, Charlie Weiner, who bought Dustin and Layla Buck's house, and then us. Our house went up 66% on assessed value, $137,000. Milky's went up $65,000 for 30%. Weiner's $101,000 for 35%. Olson's for $111,000 for 26%. My taxes were $2,816. Looks like they could go up $4,721 or $1,905 increase if I use the same numbers and just portion it out. That's a 67% increase in my taxes. Everybody's taxes out there go $1,400, $1,300, and $900. I mean, I'm hoping that the rollback is quite a bit. I never heard about this maximum. My property taxes can only go up a maximum of 7.5% a year. Is that what I heard?
Well, I talked to Henry Stone. I also called our other legislator down there and told them of the awareness. And I said, I can maybe afford to go from $2,500 to $4,000, but what about the normal person that's living paycheck to paycheck? And that's probably 70% of Winnebago County. If that were to happen to them, it's going to be devastating to those people.
Well, I don't think we're unusual in the amount of increase. So I'm just thinking there has to be some other adjustments. Otherwise, if you do this, let's just say I'm making it up $1 million to run the county. And this goes up to, I know things go up a little bit, but it's not going to go up to $1,300,000, $1 million, 30 or 40% increase. I mean, where's the party going to be at with all this extra money? Because I want to be there, because I'm helping to fund it.
That's where the legislators, it hadn't been passed at the time that happened, but according to what Henry told me, it sounded like they're gonna limit how much per year it can go up, which means if it's supposed to double the taxes, it'll eventually get there, but it's gonna take a lot of years to get there. Because, 7.5%, it's gonna take a number of years, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand that correctly or not.
So I know over a period of 4 years, through 2028, that levy rate has to go down. And our levy rate proposed here for the general basic is 5.08913, so a little over $5 per thousand. Well, by 2028, that has to be at 350. So
By law or why?
by law.
How come it goes down?
Because
Because they're
The
assuming
levy
it's-
rate goes down, not that necessarily,
Is it just-
they're anticipating valuations are gonna cover it, but with all the unfunded mandates, it's hard to keep up.
Well, I can't imagine that you guys are gonna double your budget this year because you guys would be so happy. That can't happen.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If their assessment's doubled, and well, not doubled, to go up 50%.
No, then the rates will come down.
Yeah, well, will come down, but will they initially? So is my taxes gonna be outlandish and eventually come down?
You guys do like a zero-based budget, where you guys set your budget and then kind of make the tax rates make it to where it meets. I mean, I understand you had so much last year for expenses. I understand they're gonna go up. I get that, and I'm okay with that.
The rate of inflation isn't what they say it is either.
I agree with you.
There's three things they don't include in that rate, and that's the cost of fuel, the cost of medical care, and the cost of food. Three of the most important things there are.
And then three of the highest increases, yeah.
Yes.
But it makes the federal government look good, and that's a joke. So if your things are going up, I'm fully supportive of that. I know it's, but it just seems like there's gonna be, if other adjustments aren't made, like I said, the other three things, we just look at the assessment, everything else stays the same. There's gonna be a huge windfall for the county, which I don't think you guys are really wanting. I'm just wondering, what are we doing to make sure there isn't a large windfall? You have to make me budget plus inflation. I'm fine with that. But 66% is a little steep.
Nobody's tax increases, nobody's almost enters, I don't think.
Well, and I think the rollback this year, off the top of my head, was like 40% or
It was pretty strong.
it was like, yeah, so it was like half, it was like half of the value was
When you
rolled.
say roll back up 45%, you mean you're taking $100,000 down by 45% or
Yeah.
down to 45%?
No, down by 45.
So it'd be 55,000 would be the Johnson assessment. Okay.
The taxable value.
The taxable
Yeah.
level.
For instance, in Thompson, they had an increase of 10% in valuation, but the rollback, the taxable valuation was a -9. So they lost in their budget just by that rollback.
Yeah.
So they have to
So the
make cuts
rollback
right
was
away.
huge this year.
My house was 79,000, and now it's 130, it's a 60,000 increase. That's 75%, 76%.
I don't, what is gonna go up? Do we know, or do we know what the other proposed rates are, to where we could say, if you paid $3,000 last year, what your new taxes are gonna be
Yeah,
next year?
that would calm everybody's nerves. to be
If
honest
it's gonna
with
go
you.
from 3,000 to 3,500, I'm done, I'm sorry about wasting your time. But if it's gonna go from 3,000 to 5,000, then I wanna have a discussion.
I'm there with you.
Is the EMS thing, is that in this figures, or is that not
So
in here
the
yet? Because
EMS
That's
you
a
only
separate
approved
levy
it.
rate.
This, yeah, the EMS is a separate levy.
So that's on top of what we're reading.
That is,
Do you want me to pass this to everybody in the room?
if you want to make more, I wanted you guys to look at it. And if
That's
you
the one I
want-
have here then?
Yeah, if you guys
Yeah,
want
the other week.
people to see it, then I can make copies for everybody.
There's three of these.
By the way, thank you for taking time out and doing this, we do appreciate it.
Oh, this is the year before. Okay.
The emergency services levy is 478,000, which is actually 65 cents this year. So we actually voted for a 75-cent levy, so it's down to 65 cents because of the valuation increases. I think me grab my valuation book.
And they're wanting an increase already, aren't they?
Well, no, because it's actually doing pretty well.
They're under budget right now.
Yeah, we're staying within the budget. We actually, 30, kept back 30,000 from last year, and we haven't hit where we've been touching, needing more from that. We haven't got the surcharge, the tax surcharge money yet. We'll get that first payment of that in November, which we won't touch that. Hopefully we'll be able to save that for when we start needing raises, more increases, and that kind of thing. So that's working better than I really ever thought it would. So I'm very pleased with how that's going. Let me grab my valuation book, and then I can tell you for sure what the rollbacks are.
Just because the valuations went up 50% doesn't mean the county budget's going up 50%.
No.
So there's no way that we're gonna sit here and gouge everybody on that.
I agree.
It's-
I agree. So that's what I'm saying is, what are the other factors gonna be adjusted? And like I said, if you could say out of $100,000, you're gonna go from $100,000 to, on evaluations, then it's $2,500, and you're gonna go to 27 or 3,000. I'm sorry about taking up your time. If it's gonna go from 2,700 to 45 or $5,000 or
So
whatever.
here's, I just did the calculation.
Okay.
Last year's budget we're working on now,
Yep.
and the one we proposed for next year,
Okay.
the increase is 4.58%.
Do they base the levy based off what your budget is then?
Yeah.
So they'll lower the levy down so it won't match the 40% increase. Okay, that's something I don't understand not being on there. So
Now, do I take my last year's taxes and add 4.5?
No, that's the total dollars that are being taxed. So it was 9.13 million last year. It'll be 955 this year. So it's 4.58 higher. But it all depends on what your levy rates did. It's all variable around the county, and
yeah, some people's houses maybe only went up 10% and his went up 60, mine went up 50. So we're going to pay a larger percentage of that 4%. We'll have to.
so you gotta put in the rollback and
Right.
things like that. So.
But there was a lot of concern about why some houses in the same neighborhoods of the same age, it was concerning.
And that's
Just anything in Buffalo Center increased by 76%.
Well,
I mean, we
acreage,
lost our clinic, it's not like we've gained anything.
you live on an acreage, right?
But
You live on an acreage.
almost, I got field on three sides of me, but I'm right on the very eastern edge of Buffalo Center.
That has a lot to do with it. There's a lot more people, there's less acreages for sale.
what was explained to me, the reason Buffalo Center was such a high increase, because they were mandated to do a evaluation, whatever, I can't remember what the term was,
The
but
market value, 5%
they,
market value.
you look at the sales over there, and it made them have to reevaluate it.
Well, if they raise them this much, people are gonna come to yours to buy houses because they're half the price of what
You
they're.
saw my house.
Well, I offered it to Susan for the 285 that they were assessing mine at, or 330 assessing that, and they lowered it to 285 after they came out and looked at my house.
But that's why come in by May, you have to petition for your evaluation.
By May.
Yeah.
They come out and partition. Do they get a whole new view of it? They could go up, they could go down? Or is it a down only?
I don't, it's usually down only. I don't,
I wouldn't want them to come in and go, oh, this is maybe nicer what we thought. We're gonna increase it.
no, I think they just go down. I used to serve on that board for 16 years,
Okay.
so I have experience.
I might go down the distance for sure.
She's really good to work with, and
She is. And you guys have been good too.
So the rollback this year for ag is 71.8370%. The residential was 46.3428%. So those are the rollback numbers.
What was the second one again, Carla?
46.3428%.
okay, and so last year, yeah, was there a rollback last year?
I kind of had a feeling. you tell them my opinion on what it was?
And things have changed now in the rollback process, you know, apartment buildings are different now. For nursing homes are different now, the way they do it. A lot of things changed this year.
Yeah.
A lot of things changed this year.
Commercial was 90% last year. Now commercial is the first value, the first 150,000 is that residential rollback, and then the rest of it is 90% rollback.
Okay, so now 90% rollback means you're paying 90%.
Right.
So the 46% would be what you're paying then. Okay,
So you pay 46%.
so you're only, it's not what we said before.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, that's deceptive too.
That's,
'cause
it
makes
is, because
sound
it
like
makes
they're
it sound
rolling-
like that's the roll.
So if you have
Yeah.
$1 million property, they're rolling it back 46%, but with their,
It's rolling back to 46%.
well, see, I'm thinking value, not taxes. I'm thinking they roll the value from $1 million down to 460,000, so you tax on the 460 instead of the million.
Yeah.
Is that not how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. So
If commercial and
you roll back
residential
the
is,
value, and then you're taxed on the taxable value.
What's left, yeah.
Yeah,
What it's rolled back to.
right.
So that doesn't go with what you said though, with what you said.
okay, so $100,000 house, what's the taxable value gonna be?
So you take the 140, or you take the 100,000
Yeah, you got that pie
times.
You could do a $250,000, you take the 150 off and then you have, you roll it back, it'd be 40,000, 46,000, is that correct?
The last 100,000 would be at 46,000.
That's only for commercial.
Oh,
That's only for commercial.
The ag is 71.
The ag is 71, the residential,
The
just
residential.
your house is 46.34. The commercial is that 150.
okay, going
that
back to a
tier
house
stuff.
Okay.
with $100,000 value, taxable value is,
Say that again.
a house that's worth 100,000 is taxable value would be,
You take that times the 46.34.
yeah, so it's
$46,340 less your homestead exemption.
But last year, my taxable value was 112, the assessed was 207. So that's 54% of value?
Last year, rollback was 54%.
Yes, okay.
Rollback was 54%.
So this year rollback is, and that means the
46%.
value went to 54% of the actual assessed.
so an extra 8% off on the
Another
rollback.
8% off, yeah.
Yep.
So, almost-
It'll help a little bit, even though it's more than double, or went up more than 60% for yours, but it'll help.
So I guess whatever you tell me on $100,000, what the taxes are gonna be on a $100,000 residential property in the rural area in the county, I just have to take that times, you know, if my value is now 300,000, I need to take that times 3. Whatever you could tell us the new tax amount is gonna be for every $100,000 I own, I just take it times the number of $100,000 I have over, you know. So if it's 300,000, it'd be times 3. And then I have to compare that to last year's actual taxes that I paid.
Yeah.
It's deceptive, because there's other things added in there. The EMS isn't in here. This is just for the whole state. We got extra things in the county here that are added to your taxes.
And how long will that be before we know any of that stuff?
That will be
How many more meetings do I have to go to?
Before next September.
April.
Taxes for next September.
April 30th. I will have all the city, county, ag extension, townships, everything, I'll have everything put together.
Will it be too late to appeal any of that at that time? Will we?
There's still an appeal process beyond that.
Okay.
No, this is,
Well, by then you have to appeal.
so technically, let's see, the appeal date for this is,
We discussed this down at the school though.
yes, let me think, 1 second.
Yes, so we.
I know I have, you said until May to appeal my assessed value,
Right.
but I mean, as far as asking you guys to change
The levy
or
rate.
whatever, I don't know what that process is.
Well, it starts here.
Yes. So we're at the right spot.
And right after this, we set another public hearing.
Okay. Do we get another letter about that, or is it just published?
That's just a public notice.
Yep. There will be,
We can't afford the second.
there will be,
Thanks for not spending our tax money.
They had a case down in Madison County, I think it was Madison County, that said that their increase in budget was gonna be only $15,000 from 1 year to the next. This is a multi-million-dollar budget. And 7,000 of that's gonna go towards the mailings. How's that gonna work?
Would they get rid of some employees, or how could it go down?
Well, we're talking next year, we probably have to start paring back. We
Gotta
may have
start
to,
cutting services because they've cut our ability to fund it.
Right now, do you guys pay any of your own health insurance? Is it 100% paid by the county, or
just the single ones.
I wish.
do you get a
The
free
single
single?
ones are paid, but we have our own
You
co-pays.
do, okay. See, like, I know our business, we have to pay for single too, but it's only like 40% of the total, so. But
And that's going up probably 10% this year.
You've got to pay the first 4,000 before they start paying it.
you got HSAs,
No, it's just the copay.
Yeah.
well, the
We're
copay.
partially self-funded, so we do have a buyout.
Susan?
Okay, your name please. It's the other way
Oh,
around.
sorry.
I was trying to cheat.
Oh, somebody's just playing tricks.
You just want to be incognito at one of these
Yeah,
meetings.
it's an alias. It's an alias anyway.
I put that up there, but I've answered to a lot worse.
We've been having trouble with our audio, so we've been moving things around lately. I don't know if you listen in at all. If you have any complaints, tell us.
process to county budgets for the upcoming fiscal year that runs from July 1st to June 30th must be provided no later than April 10th. Iowa Code Section 24.27.
But you're not gonna be ready till the 30th.
Well, that's when everybody, so
The other entities.
you'll have to, like, you would have to do a protest for us, a protest for the school, a protest for the city.
But you said it's only a 4% increase on your budget, right?
4.5, so
1.5, that's very, very good. I mean, that's a good number.
But I'm still kind of stumped where your budget is only going up, say the whole thing is only gonna go 4.5%. But the overall assessments on average went up 15 or 20%. Where is that reconciled? How does that get reconciled? Or is there just a 10% windfall to the county, which we've all agreed that there's.
Oh, it's not going in our
That's
pockets.
Not gonna happen, exactly, I understand. So we've agreed that that's not gonna happen. What's,
I think the rollbacks are weighing into this a lot.
okay,
They set those rollbacks different this year to account for those increased in valuations. And ag rollbacks are usually based on productivity and how the farming
Farming economy.
what they can afford. That's Department of Revenue that sets that, isn't it?
And Carla, I think you said that was 71.83 is the egg.
And what was it last?
I don't know that one off the top of my head. After he said 54, it was like, yeah, but I know it was a lot less than that.
Can I leave?
I know it was
I have
a lot less
another
than that.
point.
All right, thanks for coming, Ken.
I need to pretty quick here, but, I would imagine, I would hope that your budget this year was saved a ton by not very many snowstorms, because, I mean, we hardly.
Secondary roads has really been.
Well, we were talking to secondary roads last week that hopefully, and we bought extra rock this year because we had time to haul it. And the price was going up the 1st of April. So they hauled extra because they had the manpower and the trucks to do it. And we're hoping that we don't have to use the rock this spring on the roads, and we don't have to buy much next year to help in the budget. Just roll forward, roll forward.
Well, frost boils, from what I've seen, I mean, it's pretty good roads.
South of my shop, in Buffalo Center, even on a good year, there's a frost boil there.
Right, but it's so dry, there's no moisture to come out of the ground.
So that's one of the things we're hoping will help rolling forward, will help us. And then we'll budget accordingly next year, that less rock or something if we can.
Well, thanks for helping understand this letter better, because it was,
It's not an easy letter to understand.
So
it
part of
just
the
comes across as, hey, we're
have
lowering
you
your
sat
taxes.
down? Have you sat down with Henry and showed him that? And asked him how to
The
explain
state
it?
has made a complicated process even more complicated.
Right.
That's progress somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Henry indicated he'd like to see something different there.
Henry sat down with me for an hour and a half one day and we discussed this and we tried to write changes to this legislation and then he went back and his, the leadership said, does your auditor even know what she's talking about? And Henry said, yes, she does. He goes, do you know what you're talking about?
I've come to the conclusion that the leadership is pulling the wool over a lot of
Everybody's
people's
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, our unfunded mandates, go back to that. Back the blue bill, I don't know if everybody heard about that, where county comp boards have to look at a sheriff's salary and compare it to a sergeant in the state troopers. And we support our blue, but what they were mandating ended up in what, 4 years? Sheriff's salary went from 85,000 to 130,000.
It's a 40,
So a 20-some% increase this last year, right?
oh no.
No, it was like a Denver to 30% increase.
We cut it this year. What was it? Theirs was 6 proposed,
Mhm.
and we cut it by half, or no, cut it by
A third.
33%, 0.3.
It is a tough job these days, by the way, so, I mean, it's a
We've
dangerous
been back
job.
in the blue long before they ever made us do it. We've been giving the sheriffs a raise higher than everybody else's for years.
But you gotta realize, it's not just the sheriff, it's the deputies are a
Right,
percentage
the
of
ones
that.
that are probably even more
And
risk.
then the cities have to be competitive, and
30% cost us over 300,000 in 1 year extra in the sheriff's budget. And I added it up, not this last year, but the year before. You know what it costs little bitty Winnebago County to take care of people who break the law every year? If you add the sheriff, the jail, it's part of the county attorney's budget. If you add all that in there, it's almost $5 million a year we spend to take care of people who break laws. It was
Raise the fines.
4.5 million a year.
Does that include, because we take care of other counties too, don't they pay us
No,
for that?
they're paying us for that. That's what comes out of
So
our
that's the
budget.
net.
that's our guaranteed money. If it wasn't for that, we'd be a lot worse.
How can it be that much?
10,500 people. Imagine what the expense must be.
Well, how can it be that much a year? How many people broke the law that, I mean,
There's
divide that by the number of people,
20
5 million.
20 inmates in there
Well, there's some
at
in it
any,
all the time. Which some of the half, that's Hancock. Less than half. Well, high crime district.
20 inmates in the thing out here.
Their average population is pretty close to their average
20?
population.
you'd be surprised.
Back in the 70s.
And then you have to feed them and give
Everybody
them
imagines
medical
Mayberry,
care.
don't they, where the
Yeah.
Otis comes in once in a while?
Back in the 70s, Dave Peters could remember going for months at a time with nobody in jail.
Uh-huh.
That's paying for the representation from court and all that, but if you figure 10 people over the course of a year, that's $500,000 a person.
Yeah, but that's not with the jail and the sheriff's department and all the people that,
Pay for the
to
building.
house them and catch them and
They pay
all
for the
that.
building?
All of that
Okay.
put together is.
Cars, the insurance on the cars.
Another 13 years, it'll be paid off, we won't have those expenses anymore.
Okay, then it won't be so high. So you're saying that's part of payments too?
Well, yeah, but the jail, what the jail costs us every year, payment wise.
Well, yeah, that is really part of your operating
Yeah, but
budget.
still, people didn't break laws, we would need to have a jail, right?
Yeah, but you still need it to scare people. You need-
Our meals out to the jail are nothing fancy. They're supplied by Hy-Vee, and they've pretty much doubled in the last 5 years. So if you know anybody that's interested in making meals 7 days a week for a jail, we're in the market.
3 meals a day.
No, 2.
Just two.
Oh, it's 2?
They get cold cereal for
Well,
breakfast.
that's a meal.
Yeah, but you don't have to hire anybody to make it.
But they help themselves.
I don't know if they get to report
I don't
themselves or
think
not.
they get to. Somebody's got to pour the cereal.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your questions. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, my name's Neil.
Yeah.
I live up at just south of Emmons. Probably would know the property better. My property borders Roger Cruz's old tree junkyard.
Sure.
I saw this notice for increase. I ran by, this is not part of it. Ran it by our CFO at Blue Ridge in Elberly, and he said it looked like number salad to him.
Yeah, it is. It
But
is.
just, that being said, I've talked to the assessor. I feel, I bought my property in 2013 for $84,000. It's being assessed at $171,000 now. And the property is not worth $171,000, especially when you consider the characters that I live by. Across the road, 100 yards, Benny has started the junkyard there now. I get so much crap from everybody around, you know, and I know that Winnebago tried to get Roger out of there for a long time. He basically got himself out of it.
Yeah, we have him now.
I understand. Yeah, and my concerns are what he has done to the property and what Benny is gonna do to the property there, you know. Roger was burning, I don't know what tires, black smoke every week. What's the groundwater gonna wind up being, you know, in 10 years? Same with Benny, all that stuff he's got out there. I mean, it's a residential property.
But isn't that still supposed to be cleaned up?
We gotta be careful what we get into here. We gotta talk about valuation. That's about the limit we have is on your value. We can't talk about the other part of it.
I understand. Well, that's why I didn't even know if I was here at the right time. I've never been to a meeting
No,
like this. I don't
it's
understand.
fine for you to come and voice your concerns.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, and I don't know what we've done. I know it was a struggle to get Roger, and he was not on the property yet.
Why did your valuation go up when you live in such a rough neighborhood?
Right, yeah, I don't know if it went up so much, but it's still, with the characters that are around there and what's going on there, that evaluation is way too high.
Okay, so what did the assessor say about it then? Did she have,
She took down a bunch of notes, she's gonna do the numbers, crunch the numbers, she thinks she can make it go lower.
yeah,
But with that being said, so then, have I been overtaxed for the last 5 years? Because that's been going on for quite some
well,
time.
what was your valuation last year?
It was the same.
So she'd already increased it then? Okay.
So for how many years? Yours has been 84,000?
I bought it in 13 for 84,000.
Oh.
And this year it is assessed at 171,000.
But what was it assessed at last year?
I think it was right around this thing, 170.
Okay.
Well,
But
there's
that's-
nothing that we can do going backwards, but
Right.
going forward.
Yep, I understand.
And she's usually pretty good, and if you're not happy with what she does to it now, then you have before May 1st to make a petition and talk to the board of review.
You know, and I didn't get this letter until Saturday, so I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, and I wasn't sure what this was gonna all be about and everything else.
And understanding the
I
letters.
don't understand a lot of the lingo you guys are using, but like I say,
We try to make it clear enough to where you understand how it's gonna affect you.
I feel more confused now than I did.
Well, sorry about that.
No, but my concern is the things that are going around my property.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, I'll trade spots. I'll sell that place to any one of you for 171,000 today. I'll be out in 30 days. You guys can deal with them. You guys-
What we all said, haven't we?
Bill, you were talking about selling your house because it's too
The other
high.
thing is,
Yeah, hey,
you know, I
you want
think
my house?
Benny was up here. He mentioned to you guys that he's building a cabin. Does he have to have a building permit? Does the property have to be assessed for septic and water?
Yes.
Yes.
It does.
You know, so it just seems like it takes a long time to get anything done.
And that's part of our control that we can have on that, making sure it's done right.
You know, before he's spilling motor oil and battery acid and all that stuff in the business he's in, I know that's what happens. And burning, he burned the house there with, you know, asphalt shingles on it, construction materials. He burned it at night. I mean, that doesn't seem right. That's not supposed to go
Well,
on.
I mean, if he's illegally burning things, you can turn him in.
Yeah, it seems like he's,
I think you can even be anonymous about it.
well, I don't even, the guy doesn't scare me, you know. Yeah. I've confronted him face to face on several occasions.
I've got a whole horse trailer full of tires at the landfill out here once $56 a tire to get rid of them.
$56
$56 a tire, doesn't matter what kind they were. You know,
Some of those,
cars.
some of those when you bought them probably weren't that.
I know.
They weren't that when they were new, probably.
I know.
And the landfill in Cerro Gordo only charges $8 a tire, which is bad enough, but I'm not from there, so I can't take them back. So, tire dealers in Winnebago County, if they have to take them there, are gonna get outpriced, because they have to add $56 to the expense of a set of tires, each tire.
All right, well, we're gonna cut that off here. We've got to keep to the subject here, so.
I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, I wasn't sure if I was here in vain. Dale Kruko. Yeah, I didn't know if this was gonna be possible to talk about. It is a concern. I've taken off work to be here, so I wanted to make sure.
And we appreciate that.
You know, we don't wanna be anti-small business, but at the same time, you should be able to run a business that affects your neighbors too negatively.
And we'll be watching his business. I drive by it all the time, and I try to, when anything alarms me,
His assessed value went from last year $109,000 up to $171,000.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, this is.
So that was one of yours.
I was gonna say, yours should have increased just like everybody else's.
Yeah. So that makes sense then.
There's your assessed values.
Doesn't mean it's right, it's just, it makes sense.
71.
Right.
So when it jumped up.
So 109 times the 54, you know, you've been about 57,000 taxable valuation last year. This year at 171, if it stays there, it could go down. If it stays there, 171 times the 46, that's what your taxable valuation to be there. I think Sue,
Yeah, I was just down there.
yeah, I think,
Some other issues with the roads and stuff.
And when he says it didn't go up from last year, this year, I'm like,
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think everybody's went up.
I don't
so-
pay a lot of attention to that, but I seen the 170. I got that letter yesterday in the mail. And I just like,
So Dale, to address those other concerns that we really aren't talking about today, our zoning is looking at it, and it's also in the hands of our county attorney. So you're right, it takes a long time, it's slow,
bureaucratic.
very bureaucratic, right?
yeah,
But
he
it's
told me that he
certainly,
was, that that's his farm. I asked him what he was raising, eyesores. Well,
all right, well, thanks for
I've never seen
coming.
or heard of them. I've never seen or heard of them. Well, maybe I have.
have a good day.
Okay, what other questions do we have on this?
Well, I just came because I wanted to make sure that
Can you state your name first?
Doug Langfeld,
Okay,
I just want to make sure that because of the rise in assessments that who's benefiting from that. I mean, I agree, you know, there's cost of living is up for you guys too. But I want to make sure nobody's double dipping with, you know,
The
taxes
taxes,
rates and
right.
all of that sort of stuff. So
Some
I'm
of the
glad to
levy rates are
hear,
down.
I'm glad to hear that you guys are sensitive to that.
If I had my way, there'd be no property taxes.
If I had my way, there'd be no property tax.
So I'm glad to hear you're sensitive to that and the fact that there are a lot of people in Winnebago County who do live paycheck to paycheck. Their property is their most valuable, for some, it's the only valuable thing they have. And so that's an important thing for us. And I just want
I feel
Appreciate
pain.
that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Are-
My taxes went up that much, and my wife fell at work, they denied her workman's comp and everything, and I've been completely without her income for over a year now. And it's costing me $100 and some a week to send her to physical therapy out of my pocket. You know, so I mean, I feel your pain when it comes to it's gonna be a crunch.
Yeah, there's a lot of us seniors who are on fixed incomes or relatively fixed incomes, even if we work part-time. So it's an important thing.
I don't mean to ask this, but are you over 65?
I'm 70, yeah.
Okay, did you apply for the tax credit, the senior tax credit?
I don't know how to do that.
Go down to the assessor's office, they'll help you.
Yeah, just downstairs. Yep.
It won't affect
This year's,
this year's, but like,
This year's.
out for next year. When
There's a formula for that too.
But see, and that's what I'm saying, that I think there are a lot of us that don't know about things like
Yeah,
that.
there's that and the military tax credit if you're in the
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a
services.
veteran.
Wait, how old is the senior one? What age does that start at?
65.
So I can apply it this fall.
Another year and a couple months.
I applied.
But see, the thing that's really dumb that the legislator has done with this too is they've made it an exemption, not a credit. So Winnebago County is paying for their own credits or exemptions.
Yeah,
So-
comes out of our pockets.
Yeah,
It's a double whammy.
it's a double whammy.
It's a double whammy.
Well, they know better how to spend our money.
I know.
I found that the further you get what money away from home, the more control you have over it.
You know, another thing that, you ask where the money's going. This year, we've got a 41% increase on our property tax insurance, or our property insurance.
Yeah.
So,
But everybody did.
I know everybody did.
Everybody did.
but-
So, but
I had to trim my stuff back
Yeah.
to afford my
Yeah.
stuff.
It's-
You're not telling.
In public buildings
Yeah,
legally
property
can't trim
insurance.
stuff back.
Well, and
You gotta eat a hot dog rather than a hamburger.
Well, and they said, even if you cut, make it a higher deductible, it's not gonna make any difference. There's still the exposure. They blamed it on the reassurance companies or whatever that fund them. They want more cut.
so
Oh,
Carla,
and they've got to cover like the duration and all that the stuff. We've had some bad stuff lately. So the insurance companies are all taking a hit. And they're not going to be the ones that are taking on their profits. They're going to make sure that we pay for it.
Plus those same investors that were, funding the insurance companies, that used to be pretty competitive for interest rates. So if they were making 10% versus 1% in a CD or something, that looked really good. Now they want more of that because interest rates went up.
so Carla provided some information to us, like on the unfunded mandates of what it just cost an auditor's office extra. And it was close to $200,000 just in additional expenses that we have to put out there that we really don't get anything
4 years
back
down,
from.
4 years down the road, we're going to have $1.2 million out of the budget. That's about 14 or 15 employees we're going to have to cut back
14 or 15 employees we're gonna
unless they change something.
unless they change something.
So we may no longer have driver's licenses.
We may no longer.
We may no longer have passports. We'll have to start cutting back. The routes on the secondary roads are gonna have to be, it might be 2 days before they get to your place afterwards. Because we're gonna have to cut back to the bare minimums if
Right.
what it looks like now. I mean, it's not a fun thought. I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their jobs, and I don't want anybody to have to go to Mason City to get a driver's license.
Mason City to get a driver's license. Like you say, unless they change something, and they might change it to make it worse.
Yeah, well, that's where we've all got to get in contact with our legislators to make sure you know that you're, because they think they're getting a feather in their hat saying that they're cutting property taxes.
Making them look good.
And the whole time, they give us unfunded mandates on top of it. And,
Wasn't the state the one that said that all the reassessment had to happen up to market value?
Yes.
Or was before, so they're the one that started the whole.
I think there was limits they could go, that the assessor could go per year. They kept her down there, and then all of a sudden there was a mandate to go to this level.
Yeah, and is it Susan?
Yeah.
Suzanne downstairs? She said if she didn't go to 5% of market value, she'd have to just increase across the board 25%. And I was like sitting at 66, I'm like, I'd take 25%.
well, no, a lot less than what I'm doing now.
What's that?
A lot less than 76%.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in the ballpark with each other. We're in the ball of increase.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, thanks for coming.
Your
letter was.
I know, I'm sorry.
Everyone's confused.
We call this the apology tour.
So the quick answer is about 5% is what you're gonna raise.
That's 4.5.
4.58.
But individuals are gonna have different increases.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's just a rough.
Depends on what your valuations
Like
are.
with my assessment value, was still gonna, at 66 or 76%,
we're still gonna have a bigger increase than some that only had a 25% increase in their assessed value.
All right, none of us up here that think, oh boy, this is gonna be a spending spree for us.
Right.
Because I'm the spending spree guy as far as, just unfortunately, this is the system we've been given and it's what we're gonna operate under.
Now, going into planning for the next budget next year, it's probably gonna be, we may have to look at hiring freezes if somebody's retiring, that we have to really look seriously at how can we combine jobs or something, you know?
Well, I work across the street, and I haven't seen a raise for 4 years, so, I understand what you're talking about, and when I lose someone, I have to justify getting a replacement, and so, I get it, I live that every day, and I'm down, you know, multiple employees, and at our rates, we're having a hard time replacing them instead of a quick start, but, you know, it's,
That's the
We
catch,
do- we
that's
do
the
to try
catch
and-
22 if you want to keep quality people.
it's a great place to work, it's just
What do you do there then?
financial aid director.
Okay.
But we're trying to find some people, we just lost a couple of people for, someone who lives in Mason City, is gonna work in Mason City, he can't blame him for that.
Well, if you're financial aid director, is that what you say? Director, you need to call down to our legislators and tell them what they're doing wrong.
I'll talk to
Because
Henry at church.
There you go.
But I appreciate your time, and you guys are all being very thoughtful over this, and you're living the dream with me, so.
Yeah, there you go.
we all are.
He was talking in the corner, who benefits from that increase? Well, taxpayers, if they try to sell their house, it's gonna be valued more if you wanna sell your house.
Well, I don't think it ever went by the court assessed value, it always went by market value. Now, the assessed value is up to market value. And my fear too is, you know, you're within 5% of market value. What if market takes a drop? You don't have that cushion to where I mean, could county assessed value be over market value? Well, there's a crazy thought.
Oh,
But that's very possible right now.
on the public sites up in Wisconsin, I looked at properties that friends of mine own up there, and they have a category, you have your assessed value, then you have your market value. So it's another column they have on there for market value.
But love where we live, love where I work,
Glad to hear
trying to
that.
get through it. So we appreciate you folks very much. And
Just wish there was better news out there. It's, and another thing our legislators are doing is they're taking away authority from supervisors. Whether it's judicial districts, mental health, they're gonna take that away from us. And they're putting the supervisors on advisory boards. And they're putting the fox in charge of the hen house because nobody that is gonna be making the decisions in these areas are gonna be elected officials that are held accountable by the taxpayers. It's all gonna be, the decisions be made by people that directly benefit their jobs. Their paychecks come from what they are gonna start increasing. Judicial districts, 99 county supervisors used to make all the decisions. Now, it's our governor that did this. It's the head of, the director of prisons or whatever. I can't, there's a different term for it right now. That one person's making the decisions for 99 county supervisors used to make. And she lives in Des Moines with her husband, with her wife and 2 children.
Okay, is there any other questions, comments? Did we have any comments that were submitted?
We did not.
Otherwise, is there anybody on the phone that would like to submit any comments? Anything else? Wendell?
Just here to get informed.
Good.
We'll get your mind right.
You already tell me what's going on.
All right. If there's no other comments,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for property tax levy.
Second.
motion from Jen Volk and a second.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
To close the public hearing.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for explaining it better.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Our special individual meeting, we stand adjourned.
Now for the 11:45.
So I'm gonna